It's the anniversary. Let's talk about the goddamn game. It's not.
I don't think Graham got my joke, so I'll tell that one again because it's Valentine's Day, and with Jet Set Radio Future, we're gonna understand the concept of love.
If you don't know how the game, the plot is a group of teenage skaters called the GGs vie for control of the many districts of Tokyo-to against rival gangs. Meanwhile, the Rokaku Group, a mega corporation whose leader is also the mayor of Tokyo-to, is attempting to seize control of the city by force and convert it to a totalitarian police state. So the Rokaku Group is oppressing people, taking away their freedoms of speech and expression, and is forcing other gang members to give up their territory using the corrupt police force of Tokyo-to. So it's up to you, the GGs, to stop this nonsense and free the people by skating around and putting graffiti on things and listening to some bitchin' tunes.
Give up the territory, give it up the territory. I'm quoting the soundtrack for those that have no idea of my brilliant humor.
This was a game, though, like, I think we should talk about, like, maybe leading up to this game's release, because obviously the original game came out on the Dreamcast, and this was, I mean, obviously, I don't think Sega at the time ever thought that this game was eventually going to be released on an Xbox platform, and obviously it would not have had Peter Moore and Microsoft made, some, at the tail end of the Dreamcast life, they made some publishing deals with Microsoft, and that's how you got a lot of these Dreamcast games that came over to the Xbox platform. Had it not been for that, we might not have ever seen this game on Xbox.
And bundled with Sega GT on this awesome demo disc that I was playing on my 360. I thought about streaming this thing because I'm like going through the demos, and there are some demos as opposed to 2 full games on this thing, which is you don't really see that too often bundled with consoles. But also on this demo disc is a commercial for Xbox Live, like from the OG Xbox days. It's pretty great because this dude's trying to be like, he's the stoic office guy, but then he talks trash in a football game online. I'm just like, wow, this is just how it's like. Well, I guess I could just give some of my thoughts on it. I think we have a lot of thoughts that mirror each other, Graham, from what we played. It's definitely streamlined overall. The first Jet Set has so much personality and characteristics that define that game. Like it debuted cell shading essentially in games, and just the vibrant atmosphere, the quick time events. You'd have to spin the joystick a little bit and go up and down and all around to spray your paint. That's gone in this game. You literally just tap the right trigger, which works for better or worse. I found myself with that, I would speed past things. I guess I still can't tell if you're supposed to hold it down or just tap it each time, because I would miss like parts of it, and like it's like, okay, I have to stop everything and kill my flow entirely and like do a U-turn to go back and do that again. So I wasn't a fan of it. And I feel like there's no pressure to actually spray the paint, whereas in the Dreamcast version, you saw the cops running towards you as you're trying to get these things done in time, and like that makes sense. And there, I will say that I'll say one other comment I have, because it might lead into something else. I don't think the enemy cop in like the deputy, I don't know what he is, the sheriff or something, the chief of police in this game, he's creepy, but he's not like goofy, scary. Like you want to get away from him as much as in the first game. So I don't know.
Personally, I feel like I had a lot of fun playing it again. Like I forgot how much fun this game was for me. Yeah, the thing about the graffiti, I'm torn between whether I prefer this version or the original one, because there was something fun about the original where you had to do the almost like the QTE, actually like moving the analog stick in the different directions to get the paint done. So it's almost like it's really rewarding when you actually spray a tag. And as you say, there's kind of like, you can see the cops running after you and stuff, and there's like a sense of urgency as you're trying to spray stuff. But with Jet Set Radio Future, I found the levels felt more like almost race courses, almost like you could get, if you really get your flow going, you can actually go really fast, spray stuff as you go past it, and you kind of get this cool flow, and it goes really well with the music. 'Cause that's the thing, like the music makes the game as well. And there's something I really enjoyed about that. So I felt like I felt the game just a lot faster and smoother than the original, and I think that's the reason why. So I did kind of enjoy it still, like, and in some ways more so than the original, because I remember the original, when you first start playing, it's very long-winded to get like past the first few levels and stuff. It's just, well, the first couple of areas, it's just like, ooh, like trying to explain how to do everything, and this just felt a bit more natural. So yeah, it just felt a lot smoother than the original one to me. But yeah, I feel like you are missing that sense of urgency. Like when the cops came out and stuff, I didn't really care as much. Like I could just like, oh, just blast past, rather than think, because I think there's a strategy almost in the original as well. Like especially like the first level when you first start playing, like it's when you sort of work out that it's better to do some of the bigger tags first when the cops aren't really around, and then you can get rid of the little small tags. Because quite often I used to play it and be like, I've got one massive one to do, so I'll find extra spray cans. There's like cops after me. I'm like, trying to do this massive thing, and the cops are jumping on you, and it's like, no. So yeah, there's that element to it as well. But yeah,
yeah, I didn't feel like I was. I only replayed the first couple of levels. I have played through this game before, but it's been a while. But I did feel like in the first couple levels, I didn't feel like I was pressured that I was ever running out of spray paint. In the first game, I definitely feel like this one. And one thing that they add that I think is a big improvement is that boost button. You use the spray cans for, but I don't even know how many it uses, but it does give you just a boost so you can get away or get killed.
I think you use 10 spray cans to do the boost, basically, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel a lot more racy, like racetracky than let's see here. Than the first one does. The first one feels more open and exploratory, I feel. This one, I feel like even when you're in like the main GG's headquarters, like that feels right to be a massive online multiplayer game lobby where you meet up with your buddies and then you decide to go spray parts of town and stuff like that. Like, I really feel like this could have been an online multiplayer game, and how big the levels are, I feel like they maybe were experimenting with that. I don't know if I'm making that up in my head. Because you don't really have it. Well, you have a headquarters in the first game, but it's very much just a options menu, essentially, because you're like panning through your characters and the modes and your the music and whatever the options are and things. But pros of that, cons of that, I was no joke getting lost in some of these levels because they look so similar. And in the first game, I feel like the landscapes differ enough, and maybe they're just more colorful that I can see the differences in the areas. But I like the first, I think where you have to go over the 99, the group that has 99 in their name, I can't remember the full name of.
But I can't remember now.
You're like in kind of a Chinatown thing, and I could not tell the difference of where I needed to go in these pathways, even though I was using the map. Like, I had to like tilt the thing and like see, am I on the same level as the spray paint can? Is it up higher than me? And because they show you where graffiti souls are, where you can unlock other tags in the levels, I was trying to get all of those, and it was like, I don't know if I'm having fun with this, because I could not consistently get tags as I was like zooming around stuff. I kept missing things and had to turn around and whatever. I don't know. As much as I complain about the controls in the first game, I still feel like it's smoother and has more characteristic than this one overall.
Okay. I feel like maybe the level design was a little bit cleverer on the Dreamcast original.
I think
whereas this one's a bit more open. But again, I feel like that led to me finding the game a bit smoother and a bit more, I could just go around and woo. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's pros and cons to both. I think I enjoy both of them. I don't think I can say I prefer one over the other. They're just different, but the same. I was going to say, in terms of styling, I feel like it hasn't lost the character elements to it that you sort of were mentioning, or the Dreamcast original. But I don't know. It definitely feels darker in stages. Like some certain areas are just a lot, not just visually darker, just feel. They got the atmosphere is a bit darker as well. But
yes, to comment on that, I put in my notes here. This feels like a gritty reboot following a Saturday morning cartoon.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of a good analogy, actually. Yeah.
Because I don't dislike how this game looks, but I was just everybody remembers the first game because it's so shiny and fun and carefree, and maybe that's because the marketing was better for the first one than the second one. I don't know. I legitimately don't remember commercials for this game, but I do remember them for the first one. But maybe I was more in tune with the Dreamcast than I was the Xbox overall. But yeah, this game's not bad, but I just feel like it's different. I don't know. I feel like there's not as much attitude, maybe, or something. It is weird and kind of jarring that you don't start the game with beat like you do in the first one.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, and I was like, "Who's this guy? Who's this character?"
Korn.
Yeah, who's Korn? Like, what's going on? Yeah, and it's like,
yeah,
you unlock beats. Like, I guess the first character you unlock is just like, "Oh, there he is. Hi, there's our buddy." Yeah. But I played as Gum. I love Gum. So yeah.
Yeah, I have. I'm wearing a pin of her right now. It's not from Future, but it's on original Jet Set.
Nice.
That's why I'm wearing this hat and my Beat glasses. That'll be Graham someday.
One day.
I got the Jet Set hoodie behind me, baby.
Yeah. I've got the T-shirt on for any keen-eyed viewers there.
Yeah,
with a jumper underneath because it's actually very cold right now. And that's why I'm rocking this weird '90s grungy style.
H2O Happy Dude says, so Beat cosplay when? If you tuned in during the Dreamcast Marathon, that's what Graham did, basically.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to go basically, yeah, pretty much.
I think this might be like the most produced Xbox game ever when you bring into account like the Sega GT combo that they produced for this. It very well could be the game that made more copies than any other ones. And conversely, it also was part of the bargain bins during the GameStop days. I don't know if you saw that, Graham, like in the UK, but if you went to GameStop in the waning days of like the Xbox and when the Xbox 360 was like really in full steam that first year, you could get these for like a penny at the register at GameStop. They were just super cheap. They were just trying to get rid of them because they had so many of them. And I don't know what these days, like if they're still super cheap to get, like on eBay. I have not bothered because I have my copy of that still in my collection. Unfortunately, it's in storage right now. But I just think that's a neat kind of like little side note to this game's history, because a lot of people kind of, I don't know if they remember that part, that this was bundled with Xboxes. And so that also kind of goes and goes back to that close relationship that Sega and Microsoft were able to form during that time frame to actually get a pack-in combo game for Xbox systems. I think that's a pretty big deal and something you don't see a lot. I think you see a lot more now with third-party companies like partnering with to release, but it's something you didn't see a lot of back then. So I thought that was kind of neat about this game.
Yeah, I was checking online on one of the UK's biggest pre-owned gaming places. I can't find the actual double game, like Sega GT and Jet Set Radio Future thing, but Jet Set Radio Future on its own is about £40 on this site.
Wow.
Sega GT 2002, do you want to guess a price?
16.
Got 16. You are both incorrect. It is £1. So that shows the market value of the two games. It's mental.
In the chat, H2O Happy Dude said, I started working at a huge retail chain the week of the Xbox 360 release, and the employees were given the option to buy them for a special employee discount. We had a single bin full of Xbox games marked down to 60% off.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Guinea Pig Mom was saying, when I lived in an apartment and a neighbor threw out a 360, grabbed it, and the only thing wrong with it is it needed a new XD tray.
Disc, like the actual tray?
Maybe it was the disc tray was like damaged or something.
Because that was a problem. Is not the plate itself, but like literally where it said 360 on the CD tray. Sorry,
okay.
I'm an idiot. That did come off a lot. Like we would get, when I worked at GameStop, people would trade in 360s. And they'd be like, but it works. I'm like, dude, it is missing a physical piece on the front and cannot replace. So
like, would you want to buy this? That's what you could ask them. Would you be okay with buying this if this?
I would literally say that. I would, to people that were being douchebags, I'd be like, all right, you have to look at it like this. As much as I clean this up, would someone want to buy this missing a cosmetic piece? And they'd be like, I would. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, here you go.
Congratulations. Should we get to some more of the mailbag comments?
Oh yeah, let's do that. so we can understand the concept of love. All right. So you're welcome for that. Pretty cool. Richard Jacques. Richard
Jacques.
Oh, Ricky Jacks.
My buddy.
He was the composer. Yeah, he was one of the composers for this, along with Hideki Naganuma. Mr. Rjax was also known for Sonic R and Sonic 3D Blast and Metropolis Street Racer.
Headhunter.
And some other games.
Ooh, yeah.
He did the Headhunter soundtrack, which is one of my favorite soundtracks. I love that.
Okay. Yeah, he's done some other stuff that I don't want to load up the website because my site will lag super bad. But he actually commented, I admittedly I tagged Naganuma and him on our tweet for this. But he said, I have many good memories from working on Jet Set Radio Future with Hideki Naganuma. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
That he commented on that. And then Mithril Fox in our Discord, and I'll link it real quick in here. For those watching us live, we've always got stuff going on in our Discord. It's pretty active. You can ask us questions there, even outside of right now and everything. But Mithril Fox said, Jet Set Radio Future is what put Sega on the map for me growing up. I fell in love with that stylish title, and so it's quite frustrating that Sega hasn't made any effort to bring that game forward to any modern system since. While the game plays out quite differently from the first, dropping the focus on graffiti QTEs, with the game more focused on more verticality, tricks, and the ability to fight back, and making tagging a faster-paced, streamlined experience, it didn't take away from the wondrous sights, the colorful visuals, and the crazy story. I feel newer generations are missing out on this amazing non-sequel. I will.
That was really well written. Really well done. That was awesome. That's a good melt stuff right there.
I think they summed up in a more coherent form what Graham and I were trying to say.
I was like, wow. One thing I want to ask you guys, because this is a game that has not been, ported over to anything, and so it's kind of a pain in the ass to play these days, right? If you don't have original hardware, if you're not having the original Xbox, you may have to do some unsavory things to play it if you don't want it, is all I'm saying. So all I'm saying is we need to start putting some pressure on Sega here to get this game on current systems. Like, what's going on? Why, if this is such a big game for Sega and Microsoft from back in the day, why have they not ported this over to the Series X and the S? Like, how awesome would this be in 4K running at 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, whatever. Bump it up all the way. Slide the slider all the way over to the right on everything. And that's all they have to do, right? And then just re-release this thing for $20, $30 on their store, and it'd be perfect. All I'm saying is, I don't understand why a game as stylish and has much personality as this game has not seen some sort of re-release. I think that's almost a crime.
Yeah, I wonder if the music has something to do with the re-release, maybe weird copyright somewhere. And
although it's not like, for example, Crazy Taxi, where they had official. Yeah, actually, no. What I was about to say is completely wrong, because they do actually have licensed artists actually making soundtrack for the Jet Set Radio games. So that's not entirely true. Even though Richard Jacks and I've forgotten his name. Naganuma. Yeah. Even though they did work on the soundtrack, there's actually, was the Beastie Boys was in it? I think
they did have a track.
I think Insane Clown Posse had a track in one of them as well, and other artists are available.
How would you feel? Let me ask you guys this question: would you, if you had to make the choice, whether it's the only way we could re-release this game is if we removed all of that, because Sega's done that before with Crazy Taxi, I think. Removed a lot of the Beastie Boys songs and stuff. Would you feel like that would itself just completely negate it, or would you be okay if maybe they're okay, we're going to take out the licensed soundtracks, but we got Richard Jacks and Naganuma back in the studio to record some new tracks to replace some of these? I'm trying to figure out what would appease folks and what would be the most realistic way to get this game out today. Because you're right, that might be the sticking point. It's some of these licensed stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, because when they redid Crazy Taxi without the original, the correct soundtrack, let's say that, the game was not as much fun. So I feel like losing that, you probably will lose a lot of what made this game enjoyable. Oh, is Scotty shaking his head? I don't know.
No, as in it wouldn't be worth it. Don't release this game without the correct soundtrack. It's not the same thing then at all. To back up a little bit, I had no problem playing this game, and this is a rare time. Like I sent you two a video of me. I zoomed in on the 360, zoomed in on the screen, and I was like, hell yeah. Pan over to my girlfriend. I'm like, hell yeah. And she didn't give a shit. And then I panned back to me. But it was like a rare time when technology works for Scotty because he has outdated software and hardware.
I was going to say that. It's almost like Battlestar Galactica where they're like, oh, we have to go analog. They could never hack us. It's like Scotty has to use like the most primitive technical equipment as possible just to make sure it works. It's like the only fail-safe Scotty thing can do is just play like really old video games in the most primitive way possible.
The water wheel and we were good to go.
Oh man. So no, that's good. Like, so what do you guys think this game's lasting legacy is today? Like, I mean, it's a game that obviously was released nearly 20 years or so ago. Has not had a significant release on a new platform, but people are still talking about it today. So obviously it's stuck in people's, psyches. And so, but what is it about that game that's still, relevant today? And where do you think, the series is going to go maybe in the future?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. Scotty?
The soundtrack is all anyone remembers. The characters are definitely memorable for this one. But I feel like the world and the style is more remembered for the last one. I mean, look at us. I have Jet Set sunglasses on. Graham, who are you, is wearing a Jet Set shirt. I've got this hoodie behind me. I tried to look up before we started. There's no Jet Set Radio Future merch anywhere. Unless you go to
Sega Europe shop comes out with it every once in a while, and
maybe
I think Sega shop had some Jet Set stuff.
They've had Jet Set Radio stuff, but not the future stuff. I don't think so. I'm gonna quickly check.
That's what I was saying.
Right, yeah. Right. You might be right about that, Scotty. Let me ask you guys this: do you think this is a series that could be successful today, or do you think it's one of those that belongs kind of in the year it was created, like in its own time, and should stay there?
I feel like if this was released maybe on PC or something, I think it might do quite well. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of indie style games which kind of go along this sort of roots and styling. But
exactly,
I feel like if it was released like mainstream, all the major consoles and stuff, I feel like it would just not do very well because everyone's all about Fortnite and, I don't know, Pokemon Go and stuff. What's popular this year? Jesus.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I don't know. It does seem like the same, like just the big multiplayer online games is a massive thing at the moment still, even though it's been there for like 2 or 3 years now. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like unless it's like a big established franchise, it's just not really stuff like this quirky stuff. It just isn't taking hold.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're too serious now.
Yeah, which is a shame because gaming back in the day was all about the fun and quirky, bright colors, and
Although I think that there's still some room for that because I mean the Yakuza series is one of the quirkiest things ever in a video game, and it's as popular as ever today. I know that this game isn't kind of like that in terms of like the quirkiness and stuff, but
yeah, I feel
maybe it's just like a small budget indie style game or something like that. Yeah. Maybe if they worked with a small company like they did with Streets of Rage 4, and maybe they could have it where it's maybe not a huge investment. They're not putting millions of dollars into this game necessarily, but maybe they have a small team work on it. And it might be something that you don't need a big team to do something like this. I know Hover, I don't know how many people they had on their development team when they developed Hover, that indie Jet Set style. It's hard to describe. It's like an online Jet Set style online game. I don't know. But something like that. And it shows that the gameplay is still relevant today. Because there's, like you said, Graham, there's indie developers creating games that are very close and take a lot of inspiration from it. Scotty, what do you think?
We didn't answer Mithril Fox's question about Deathball mode at all.
Oh, okay.
Deathball mode, what up, Caesar? Deathball mode is where you have a time bomb, essentially, and you're trying to... It's like hot potato with a bomb or something. But this game also has 4-player multiplayer stuff going on in it that we didn't even talk about, but I barely experienced. I never played it with another physical person. I don't know how that is. If we can maybe get some Parsec stuff going or try to figure that out someday. Cool. That lends to this could have been an MMO. It really could have. But so unfortunately we don't have I don't think we have much of an opinion on Deathball mode. Just the fact that there is 4-player split screen stuff is crazy and cool to me though. Did you ever play that, Graham, at all?
I didn't know. To be honest, I didn't realize that was a thing until we saw the question about Mithril Fox. So I must have just missed that. Because I don't think I ever actually finished the game on the original Xbox. I got really far. I don't actually remember finishing it.
I think you unlock Potts the dog in this one if you just finish the game, and maybe that was my incentive to do it.
I think you have to get a jet level on all the levels or something. I think I read that earlier. You have to achieve jet ranking.
That's how you unlock them, and I could never do that.
I thought okay, I don't know. I just read it online and said something about that for Jet Set Radio Future.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not saying mine. To talk about Jet Set inspired games, there is Hover that's out there. And initially, the game's title was Hover Revolt of Gamer. So glad they changed that. It's not bad. The PS4 version has really sloppy online. The PC has better online. I streamed it a while back. It's a much more open, colorful, and interactive Jet Set. It kind of reminded me of Beyond Good and Evil a little bit with the atmosphere. And the other ones, Neon Tail was out recently. That's not artistically as inspired by Jet Set, but clearly playstyle wise, more of, like the name suggests, neon, kind of a Sailor Moon meets Blade Runner, I felt. And then the last big one that's some of the more well-known Jet Set inspired stuff, a new one coming out is called Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, which straight up looks like it's just ripped right from the Jet Set world.
Wow.
I'm very excited for that game because it looks really solid. So yeah, if you want to play something that's like Jet Set, it's another one of those. Sega's not doing it, so the fans have to. That's not just with Sega. That's Castlevania, other crap. Hover, Neon Tail, Bomb Rush, Cyberfunk are some good Jet Set inspired games to check out.
Yeah,
I think so.
Awesome. No, that's really cool. I think it's going to be interesting to see what fresh developers and people that may have been inspired by these games and what they can kind of do with the premise of this game and what the team at SmileBit did with the original game. Maybe this new generation of players could make some awesome spin-offs that take this series and maybe not directly a direct line of sequels, but maybe just a spiritual successors that kind of live on and maybe, who knows, maybe people like Naganuma, who has done a lot of indie work over the years. I think he even did some stuff in Hover, I believe. And it would be awesome to see him continue to do these type of things and projects, because I know he's been a big proponent of bringing this series back over the years, and he's really supported it. So I think anything that we could do to lend some more eyeballs and stuff on this series, and maybe if Sega won't do it, heck, let the indie developers take over, because they certainly will if Sega won't. And it seems like they're doing exactly that. So that's awesome. Hell yeah! I'm looking forward to seeing some of these games.
I would say that overall we've understand the concept of love. That's all me, baby.